In a world of over 8 billion, some individuals don't just stand out, they unsettle. Not because of what they've accomplished, but because of how they look and what they've done. Their bodies don't follow the normal rules, and sometimes they don't want them to. Join us in today's video as we explore the 15 humans you won't believe actually exist. Let's start off this list with number 15, Jeremiah. Doctors said Jeremiah wouldn't make it past 5. But those doctors were totally wrong. Now 33, he's still here, still proving them wrong. Born in San Diego with a rare condition called recessive dystrophic epidermolysis bullosa, often called butterfly skin, his skin is so fragile that even minor friction causes painful wounds. Over time, he lost the ability to walk and the use of his hands. In 2018, he was also diagnosed with skin cancer. That diagnosis could have broken him. Instead, it woke something up. He called it an epiphany. Jeremiah began sharing his story, opened up online, and started studying video and audio production. The pain hasn't stopped him at all. The wounds haven't healed. But he keeps moving. Every year past 5 feels like a rebellion against everything he was told he couldn't do. It feels good, he said, to hit the milestones the doctors never expected. It makes me feel unstoppable. Jeremiah doesn't live in fear of what his creepy body might do. He lives in defiance of what it was never supposed to be. Number 14, Zoe Bosanic. Zoe Bosanic was born without arms, but you wouldn't know it watching her crush a baseball with a swing from her chin. She's 18 from Michigan and plays 4 sports: karate, dance, soccer, and baseball. She doesn't use prosthetics or excuses, just raw drive. Her parents adopted her after seeing a photo of baby Zoe holding a bottle with her feet, and they never looked back. Gymnastics came first to teach her balance, then everything else followed. People stare, kids point. Some even ask, "What's wrong with her?" But Zoe keeps moving. She opens doors with her feet, brushes her hair, and never once says, "I can't." Her brothers joke that they're jealous because she's better at sports than they are. And honestly, she is. Zoe's learned to bat with her cheek and shoulder. She dances, she kicks, she never quits. "I don't feel different," she says. "I feel like me." And when you see her in action, it's hard not to feel inspired too. Number 13, Zachary Brown. Zachary was born with a cystic hygroma, a growth on his neck and face. Doctors offered surgery, but there was a catch. It might cost him his voice. He wanted the operation. He hated how he looked. But the idea of never speaking again made him stop. So he walked away from the table, choosing speech over symmetry. For years, he hid behind video games, spending up to 14 hours a day online. No cameras, no mirrors, just a screen. One day, something shifted. He sold off his $5,000 gaming setup, joined a gym, and got a job. He built muscle, confidence, and a life outside of hiding. Now 28, Zach is unrecognizable. Not because of how he looks, but because of how he lives. The decision to keep his voice reshaped everything. He didn't lose his face. He found his footing. And in doing so, he proved that power comes from presence, not perfection. Number 12, James McLeod. Vitiligo covered one side of James McLeod's face. As a child, he couldn't stand to look in the mirror. The reflection staring back at him didn't feel human. It felt monstrous. But everything shifted the day his mother spoke life into him. Her words reframed how he saw himself. That spark changed everything. Instead of hiding, he began standing taller. The same face he once avoided became the reason he walked with pride. Over time, James turned his pain into purpose. He wrote 2 children's books aimed at kids who feel like outcasts, hoping to remind them that being different doesn't mean being broken. It means being rare. These books weren't just stories. They were blueprints for self-love. James grew into someone who doesn't hide what makes him stand out. He wears it, honors it, and teaches others to do the same. What once felt like a curse became the very thing that set him free. So, never give up, keep moving. Number 11. Courtney. Courtney was born with epidermolysis bullosa, a condition that makes the skin so fragile it blisters and tears with the slightest touch. Each day begins with fresh bandages, covering skin that never truly heals. Her journey hasn't just been painful, it's been life-altering. At one point, the severity of her condition led to cancer, and both of her hands had to be amputated. But she didn't stop. Courtney turned what could have been the end into the beginning of something powerful. She created Coco and Shay, a company focused on helping others with EB live more comfortably. Her story, her struggle, and her relentless drive have inspired thousands who follow her journey. She doesn't pretend things are easy, she just proves they're still possible. With or without hands, with or without perfect skin, Courtney has built something lasting. Her life isn't defined by what EB took. It's defined by what she refused to let go of: purpose, strength, and possibility. Number 10. Sonia. At just 9 years old, Sonia was diagnosed with a rare tumor called ameloblastoma, a condition that usually forms in the jaw, just like it did in hers. The first signs were subtle: swelling, tooth pain, strange tics. Then came the surgeries, 8 of them. The biggest, in 2018, removed most of her lower jaw. That single operation forced her to relearn how to eat, how to speak, and even how to swallow. It wasn't just a physical loss, it was an emotional one. Adjusting to her new appearance was one of the hardest parts. But through the support of her family and the slow rebuilding of her confidence, Sonia found her way back. Today, at 35, she no longer hides. Her face carries scars, but it also carries strength. She knows exactly what she's been through, and she carries it forward, not with shame, but with quiet pride. For Sonia, surviving wasn't just about staying alive. It was about coming back stronger. All right, guys, now, let's head over to Number 9. Terry Wallace. Terry experienced one of the most extraordinary recoveries ever recorded. After a car accident in 1984, doctors declared him in a permanent vegetative state, unresponsive, unlikely to ever regain consciousness. For nearly 19 years, Terry remained silent. Then, in 2003, without warning, he began speaking. He recognized names, remembered faces, and even recalled events from before the crash. What shocked experts even more was what followed. Terry started solving math problems and speaking languages he'd never studied. His brain had somehow rewired itself in the background, unnoticed for 2 decades. Neurologists began researching his case to understand how the damaged areas had adapted, which led to groundbreaking studies in neuroplasticity. Terry's recovery became a global medical case study. His mind had done the impossible. Despite ongoing physical limitations, his cognitive revival gave hope to thousands. He passed away in 2022, but his case changed the way brain trauma is viewed. He was unique. Number 8. Bajaneza Liberata's son. A father is supposed to protect his child, but this one threatened to kill his own. When Bajaneza Liberata gave birth in Rwanda, her husband took one look at the baby and walked out. He told her to never come near him again. She'd had children before, never anything like this. The child looked different, cried in pain constantly, and no one could explain what was wrong. Her husband denied the baby entirely, so she returned to her rural village, alone, rejected, and carrying a child people called a monster. Neighbors whispered, some said alien, others said cursed. She can't find work, has no access to doctors, and still has no diagnosis. Her older kids had to be left behind in the city while she begged the village for help. But no help came. A GoFundMe was launched to try and send her and the baby abroad. That's the only chance now. Number 7. Oace Olga Blessing. Olga's belly began swelling when she was 6. In her village, rumors flew. People whispered she must be pregnant. Her mother, Elistine, knew that wasn't possible, but no one believed her, and they had no money for doctors. The swelling worsened. Locals assumed it was an infection or a stomach bug. No one had real answers, and access to medical care was nearly impossible. Then Aframax Media filmed her story. Suddenly, people cared. Donations poured in. Doctors finally diagnosed her, a rare heart condition. One chamber had failed, causing fluid to build in her abdomen. Her stomach wasn't full of food. It was drowning from the inside. Surgery was needed urgently. It had to happen in India. The cost? $15,000 for 2 weeks of intensive care. She made it there. She survived the surgery. She laughed again. For the first time, she looked like a kid. But just weeks later, her heart gave out. Olga didn't make it home. Her fight ended far too soon. Number 6. Orlando Sorrell. Orlando never had a gift until a baseball hit him in the head when he was 10. After that, everything changed. Suddenly, he could remember the exact date and details of every day he'd lived. Weather, outfits, meals, conversations. It all stayed in his head like a running archive. From 1965 onward, his memory held everything. Scientists believe Orlando has a rare form of acquired savant syndrome, possibly linked to synesthesia, where memory, numbers, and perception merge. His brain scans revealed an enlarged hippocampus, the area responsible for memory storage. While most people forget the mundane, Orlando remembers it all. The detail isn't always easy. It can be overwhelming. But it's real. He's been studied, interviewed, and featured by major outlets like CNN and BBC. What makes his story unique isn't just the ability, it's the origin, an everyday accident that unlocked something extraordinary. Orlando Sorrell didn't train for this. It happened, and it turned his life into something science still tries to explain. Number 5. Casey Legler. She doesn't fit the modeling mold, and she never tried to. At 6'2", with angular cheekbones and a stare that cuts, she signed with a male modeling agency. That's right, Casey's a woman who models in the men's division. There's no costume, just a face that broke every box the industry tried to build. Her look, sharp, minimal, undeniably masculine, wasn't something she changed. It was something she owned. She wears men's clothes, walks men's runways, and appears in campaigns not because she wants to pass, but because that's exactly how she looks. And it works. She turned heads, flipped contracts, and opened a space that never existed before her. Her identity never changed. The industry did. She doesn't play with gender. She works with form, line, texture. Her image made fashion ask different questions. Casey didn't blend in. She didn't rebel. She just stood there, exactly as she is. And the world finally noticed. Number 4. Tylik. At 23, Tylik is 6 months pregnant with a child he's wanted for years. He began transitioning as a teenager and spent those early years relearning everything about himself. When the pregnancy test came back positive, he broke down, not out of fear, but relief. This was the moment he'd been hoping for. The pregnancy came through insemination, and he decided to share his journey online. The reactions were mixed. Some offered support. Others hurled confusion, insults, and judgment. "It's not their baby. They're not raising her," he says. What matters now is creating a safe, loving space for his daughter. His grandmother and sister were stunned at first, but now they're excited. They're ready. So is he. "She'll always have me," he says. "I'll always be there." Tylik isn't trying to prove a point or answer anyone's questions. He just wants to be the parent he needed growing up and to give his daughter the love he never had. Number 3. Lily Lou. Lily Lou lives tucked away in the quiet of the German countryside, far from cities and crowds. She's a filmmaker, a parent, and a former tattoo artist, her body covered in ink that connects into one single sprawling piece. "I only have one tattoo," she says, "because it's all part of one story." 6 years ago, she began transitioning, and everything shifted. The journey became less about changing and more about returning to who she really was. Strangers online call her a bad parent just for how she looks, but she doesn't flinch. "Trying to fit into the normal world never worked," she says. She's not chasing a certain lifestyle, no luxury, no act, just truth. "Most people are performing roles in a game they don't even enjoy," she adds. Lily built a home around honesty. Her children aren't growing up behind masks. They're growing up watching someone live without one. She doesn't want to stand out. She just refuses to disappear. Number 2. Dean Karnazes. Dean Karnazes doesn't get tired like the rest of us. That's not a compliment. It's literal. As a kid, while classmates barely made it through 15 laps on the track, Dean casually ran 105. In adulthood, he ran 50 marathons in 50 states, in 50 straight days. Doctors eventually ran tests and found something rare. Dean's body processes lactic acid so efficiently that he never hits the wall. His muscles just keep going. He doesn't cramp. He doesn't lock up. He simply runs. Mountains, deserts, coastlines, he's done them all. Not for trophies or press, but because it's what he loves. He runs for the challenge, for the silence, for the movement itself. Scientists are still trying to fully understand what makes him tick. But Dean doesn't care about the lab reports. He's not out to prove anything. He just feels more alive when he's in motion. His body might be 1 in a million, but his mindset is your endurance in its rarest, truest form. Not like you and me. Number 1. The Girl with Alien Eyes. Masha Tayelna was walking through Zaporizhzhia when a modeling scout stopped her in the street. One look was enough. Her eyes were enormous, wide-set and tilted upward, almost unreal. Some called her a real-life elf. Others said alien. But no one could look away. Her features weren't altered. That's just how she looked. Her face had symmetry, softness, and something else, something you couldn't quite place. Fashion houses across Europe called instantly. And suddenly, Masha was walking runways, doing editorials, and becoming one of the most talked-about models in Eastern Europe. She never chased fame. She didn't have to. Her appearance did all the work. The industry didn't know what to do with her at first because she didn't fit the mold. And that's exactly why she broke through. Masha's gaze didn't just photograph well, it stayed with people. It lingered. She reminded the world that beauty doesn't come from looking like everyone else. It comes from looking like no one else at all. If you found this video interesting, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.